Jaya Varamadava Kunja Vihari Jaya Varamadava Kunja Vihari Gopi Chanda Baba Girivardhari Gopi Chanda Baba Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Rajana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Bhalava Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Rajana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shiva Bhagavan ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we're reading today from Srimad-bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, Text 57. The chapter is called The Advent of Lord Krishna. Chant the Sanskrit. Kirtimantan Pratam Bhajan Kamshayana Kadudumbi Arpayam Asa Kritrena Son Somriddharativi Balaha Kirti Mantan Pratam Majan Kamshayan Akadundubi Arpayam Asakristrena Sumrital Ativi Valaha Kirti Mantan Pratam Majam Kamshayan Akadundubi Arpayan Asakristrena Sumrital Ativi Valaha Viman Pratiman Rajan Kamshayana Pradanduvi Arpayam Asakristrena Somrital Ativaha Kirtiman Pratam Rajan Arpayam Asakristrena Somrital Ativaha Kirtimantam Pratam Rajan Kamshayana Kadundubi Arpayam Asakristrena Somrital Ativaha Kirtimantam Pratam Rajan Kamshayana Kadundubi Samrital Ativaha Kirtimantam Pratam Rajan Kamshayana Kadundubi Arpayam Asakristrena Somrital Ativaha Kirtimantam Pratam Rajan Kamshayana Kadundubi Arpayam Asakristrena Somrital Ativaha Kamshayana Kadundubi Kirtimana, Kirtimantam, by the name Kirtiman. Pradamajam, the firstborn baby. Kamshaya, unto Kamsa. Anakudubi, Vasudeva, Arpayan Asam, delivered, Vistrena, with great pain. Saha, he, Vasudeva, Anvitat, from the breaking of the promise, or from the fear of being a liar. Ati Vivalaha was very much disturbed, being afraid. Translation. Vasudeva was very much disturbed by fear of becoming a liar, by breaking his promise. Thus, with great pain, he delivered his firstborn son, named Kirtiman, into the hands of Kamsa. Vasudeva was very much disturbed by fear of becoming a liar, by breaking his promise. Thus, with great pain, he delivered the firstborn son, named Kirtiman, into the hands of Kamsa. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedic system, as soon as a child is born, especially a male child, the father calls for learned brahmanas, and according to the description of the child's horoscope, the child is immediately given a name. This ceremony is called Namakarana. There are 10 different sanskaras, or reformatory methods, adopted in the system of our ashram dharma, and the name-giving ceremony is one of them. Although Vasudeva's first son was to be delivered into the hands of Kamsa, the Namakarana ceremony was performed, and thus the child was named Kirtiman. Such names are given immediately after birth. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here that there are, in Vedic culture, there are 10 sanskaras. The first one, the big one, is usually marriage. It depends on how you count it. Most of them have to do with children. So before the children, then there's the marriage. So the first ceremony, which was observed by everyone, even all classes of people in Vedic culture, was marriage. Even Shudra class, they didn't hardly follow any kind of samskara, but they followed that one. There was marriage, and then and of course from marriage, many times usually there are children that come. So, and then after the children come, I don't remember all the sanskaras. When children come, there's ceremonies that are done just before the child is born, right? There's another one that's done immediately after, which is to improve their intelligence. There's another one which is done 6 months afterwards, when the child eats their first solid food, grains, like that. This is what's it called? You know. Now, the question is the ceremony is anaprasana. Anaprasana, that's what it's called. And that's ceremony for the grain giving ceremony. So that's the first, this is one of the early ones. And after some few years, after four or 5 years after the child's born, the child starts to school, and so there's a ceremony to like an introduction to going to school, and so on, and then it goes all the way through. Sanskars go all the way through until the end of life, and then there's at the end of life, then there's also sanskar that's performed by someone else in the family normally, and so on. So sanskars were in Vedic culture are very important. They're very important because sanskara actually means sanskara means exact word, but it basically means it's a way of remembering God. All throughout Vedic culture, at every moment, every part of life, there are these religious ceremonies, and every one of them is based on somehow getting the blessings of God.
Memories that are not necessarily about God.
No, it must be something different. This has to do with sanskar, things that ceremonies that are performed in this lifetime.
Somebody acts in such a way and you say, well, sanskar. Why do you say they don't die?
Okay, I'm not familiar. But in any case, the sanskars, the word actually means impression. That's the word. Impression. So impression. So just like the marriage sanskara, it's marriage is in one sense a marriage, a wedding can be done. It's a very simple thing, you know. You go to these days, you can go to someone who's a notary public. They say, do you accept her? Do you accept him? Sign the papers, and it's legal. That's there. But in Vedic culture, it was a very big event. Very big event. You're asking the blessings of all the family members and the priest, and of course Krishna, like that. You're asking the blessings for the marriage and the relationship to be good, because in Vedic culture, everyone knew that if the marriage broke up and the husband and wife went different places, and then Arjuna mentions in his arguments for why do we not fight this war? He's saying, asking Krishna, if we fight this war, there'll be so many people killed, so many elderly people killed, so many elderly men killed, and all these men are killed, and the women will be without protection, and then when the women are out without protection, then there will be Varna Sankara is the word. Unwanted population means children born out because of illicit sex and so on. So in the Vedic culture, the marriage is they make it a very big event, partly so that impression stays with you, stays hopefully with the husband and the wife, so that even if in the future there is some challenges, and there's always challenges, so there's challenges, So they say, hey, we got married, we made the promises, we made the promise in front of Krishna and all the devotees, and there were maybe many devotees there who witnessed that we were promising to stay together and live a Krishna conscious life like that. So that if some difficulty comes up, you remember these things and think, oh, I made all these promises and to everyone, and now it's going to be really not going to be nice if we just break up. And it still happens, but it makes it more because otherwise, and Srila Prabhupada actually the Srimad-bhagavatam describes that in the symptom of the age of Kali, and it already happens now. People live together, man and woman, man and woman, now it's man and man, woman and woman. That's what live together for some time. No marriage, no ceremonies, nothing religious about it, and just live together for some time. And then when they get tired of each other, you live with someone else and continue like that. So that's happening. I mean, that's happening now. But it'll be very common by the end of the age of into the Kali Yuga. People will just that'll just be the norm. People will be married, and you just live together with someone, but there's no real commitment like that. So that's there. So anyway, like I said, the sanskara means the impression. So it's not just the marriage, there's an impression. There's the child who's getting ready to go to school, maybe the age of 5 or so, and he's to do the ceremony. And of course, there's actually real blessings given by the Supreme Lord and the devotees and so on. And the child also, has some religious background or religious inclination from his upbringing so far or from his previous life. Then he feels, yes, I'm doing this. I need to go to school. I need to study, and I need to. And I need to succeed. I need the blessings of the Supreme Lord. So the whole Vedic culture was built like that. That every stage of life we're being reminded about Krishna. That's the goal. Of course, there also were some scars that had to do with demigods and so on. But the ones we do with Krishna consciousness, the Vaishnava samskaras are a little bit different. So Srila Prabhupada encouraged these as far as we can do, especially the marriage. In fact, in the beginning, the very beginning of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada saw that all his new followers, boys and girls, and men and women, were just kind of living together, but nobody was married for the most part. Hardly anyone was married. So Srila Prabhupada said that's not going to work. It was necessary. Man and woman are going to be associated, going to be together, and there's got to be marriage. Marriage means commitment, right? It's commitment. You make a commitment for life that this is going to work, and not just that you live together, but you live together in Krishna consciousness. So in the very beginning, Srila Prabhupada performed the wedding ceremony, and he did for these weddings. First, they performed the wedding ceremonies, and when I joined the movement, I guess it's still around somewhere. There's a book called the Krishna Consciousness Handbook. Probably still exists. I haven't seen it for years. But in there was a marriage ceremony. and it was, you know, it was simple. It's not like the very, very complicated ones that people in the Hindu community usually are looking for. But it was simple. Exchanging vows, making your vows, exchanging garlands, and exchanging sitting place, and like that. You're committing yourself, and then the fire sacrifice was performed. So that was there. But Srila Prabhupada started seeing in the early days that the marriages were because many times he was marrying these devotees. Many times he was marrying these devotees, but then he saw later on, they're not together anymore. They've gone to someone else. Oh, I don't like him anymore. I don't like her anymore. So Srila Prabhupada was very unhappy about that. He was very unhappy about that because, you know, he makes these arrangements. The devotees were vowing that they would stay together and practice as husband and wife, practice Krishna consciousness together for lifetime. And they would, you know, and that would become Krishna conscious. So when Srila Prabhupada started seeing that the devotees were just not taking it seriously and then leaving or leaving, you know, breaking their marriage vows, then at one point he said, okay, you're going to get married. First you go out and you get your your legal marriage, your civil marriage, like that. You go out, and get your civil marriage, and then you and stay together for a year or so, and then you can do the ceremony, the fire sacrifice. He was not authorizing marriages to be done by fire sacrifice immediately. Because too many times the devotees are not staying together. And of course, in Vedic culture, there was also the names of these things. Before husband and wife were planning to conceive, there was ceremony for that too. Garbhadam Sanskar. Yeah, Garbhadam Sanskar. Which basically meant, I'm not so sure about the Vedic system, it's pretty elaborate, but Srila Prabhupada said, our system is before conception, and after you make sure it's the best time of the month and so on, and everything's organized like that. That day you chant at least 50 rounds. Husband and wife should chant at least 50 rounds Hare Krishna mantra. So that way, so at least by chanting, you actually do that by chanting 50 rounds or more of the Hare Krishna mantra, then your consciousness is going to be pretty good. You're not going to enter into this totally just, sense gratification. And of course that by following that meant you had to become very, you had to be, the whole idea even of conceiving children was that to be in a very Krishna conscious mood. So anyway, these are a couple of things about the sanskars. And here we see Vasudeva. Vasudeva and Devaki, so far, they're living in their home. They haven't been. Count Kansu will come later and put them in prison. this first time they're in their home. So therefore, they immediately they had a regular name-giving ceremony performed by by who here, but they had that performed. That's why this particular child had a name, and and uh, and of course now Vasudeva is performing a very difficult act, because he's going to take this newborn child, and everyone, of course, is attached to the children, and especially the firstborn seems to be most everyone's most attracted to the firstborn. So he had to take this promise. He made a promise that I will every child that was born, every son that was born, I will bring him to you to Kamsa, to you decide what you want to do. And he didn't really know for sure what he wanted to do, but he expected Kamsa would try to kill him. But still, he promised. You can imagine. I can't imagine. Because his keeping his vow, he did like this. And well, of course, we'll read about that. But actually, Kamsa, at least in the beginning, we'll find out, has decided, no, you brought him here. That's very nice, but I'm being nice to you. I have no danger from this child. But we'll see later on that Kamsa got some advice from his bad advisors. He got some advice from his bad advisors, and he decided to changed his mind. He had them arrested, put in prison, and the child was killed in the end. Narada Muni.
He was the one who was telling Kamsa child.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe it was at that point. Yeah.
Why would they get over the second one? No. Why would you take the chance? Why risk it? He was to get it Kamsa.
Yeah. Yes. And actually, everyone knew, and Narada Muni knew, that the eighth child, Krishna himself was going to come at some point later on. So, if it, yeah, and they all, there's all, Krishna came in the first place because, remember, the demigods earlier had said the Mother Earth, Bhumi, she came in the form of the cow, and they had going to Lord Brahma and asking, please, I've got so much problem here. There's thousands and hundreds and thousands and millions of kings engaged in sinful activities on the earth, like that. And ultimately Krishna said he would come. And that was also the reason that some demigod apparently spoke to Kamsa at the time of the marriage. Kamsa, you're such a fool. You're being so nice to your sister, but you don't know that the eighth child of the sister is going to come and kill you. Which would be Krishna. But that was all to get Kamsa to start acting in a very bad way, out of fear, and speed up everything so that the Krishna would come and do what he came to do, which was to kill many demons, demon kings, and so on in the world. And of course, Krishna does many things, because he didn't just come to kill all these demoniac people. He also comes to perform his pastimes. And of course, whatever when Krishna comes to perform his pastimes, then it's all recorded. I mean, it's recorded. We're reading it here. So Krishna came to perform his wonderful pastimes in Vrindavan, his wonderful pastimes in Dwarka, wonderful pastimes in Mathura. And he's going to perform all these pastimes, and so that those who were there, of course, would become more attracted to him, and those who would hear about it or read about it later on would become attracted. So we have 10 images that I think I said yesterday, the Krishna book, of course, is the summary study of the 10th canto. 90 chapters in that, and there's actually 90 chapters in the 10th canto. So it's like that. It's a summary study of the entire 10th canto, and we should probably consider that very, very important, because he wanted us to try to not just hear the basic philosophy every day, which we do, we should, but to also hear about Krishna's wonderful pastimes, so that we start feeling like, wow, Krishna's doing all these wonderful things, and maybe I can actually, become Krishna conscious. I can join him. Maybe I become a cowherd boy in my end of this lifetime. Maybe I become a gopal. Maybe I have a parental relationship like that. Krishna has unlimited cowherd friends, so you can easily fit in there as a cowherd boy. There's no problem. And there are hundreds of billions of gopis that engage in Krishna's service in Goloka Vrindavan. And then what about the parental relationship? We know Devaki and Vasudeva, and we know the foster parents, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. So, but of course, those services are already taken. We don't become Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj or Vasudeva or Devaki. So how does one engage in developing a parental relationship with Krishna? If those parents that we know of here are, those are their eternal positions, so we don't become them. How do we become Krishna's, develop a parental relationship with Krishna? That's what we want. How? How do we? If I want to become Krishna's father, I don't become Nanda Maharaj. I don't become Vasudeva. So how do I become Krishna's father? That's one of the 5 rasas. How do you become Krishna's father without taking someone else's service, which you can't do? You can, but in reality, in the spiritual world, you don't become Nanda Maharaj. You don't become. So what other father relationship or mother relationship is there?
Father of the Gopis, so Father Cowherd. And then Krishna becomes Cowherd boy, and one of the Gopis. You become a cow.
Yeah, sort of like that. And in the parental relationship, then all the elderly cowherd men and all the elderly women, the husbands and wives, they at one point, at least within the material world, they have Krishna as their son for some point, because Lord Brahma steals away temporarily for 1 second his time all the cowherd boys and all the calves, then so he says, I can't go back to Vrindavan by myself, but what everyone think. So he just expanded himself to be to all those millions of calves and all those millions of cowherd boys, and being exactly, they looked the same as those boys and those calves. They acted the same way. No one would know otherwise. But they were actually expansions of Krishna directly. And then for that 1 year, anyway, that 1 year, all the cowherd men and all the cowherd women had Krishna as their son. And same thing, all the cows, of other cows, they also had Krishna as their calves, because at that time, and everyone was thinking, why is my love for my son suddenly become just like my love for Krishna? They don't understand that this is actually Krishna. That's my son, but why is my love increased like this so much? So that's how it's possible. Now, I don't know that's what Krishna is against the material world. I don't know how exactly in the spiritual world how that works. I'd like to find out. Oh yeah. Yeah, and Krishna never ages in the spiritual world. Krishna in the spiritual world, Krishna is exactly it's like 15 years, so many months, so many days old. He's a certain age, and he doesn't age more. It's just a couple months away from being 16 years old. And that's in the spiritual world, that's his eternal position. His eternal age. Anyway, I guess we have to go there and find out. Yeah. But Srila would say these things too. Yeah. Somebody would ask, what is it like in the spiritual world? Srila says, chant Hare Krishna, become Krishna conscious, and go there. And you can see for yourself. I can only tell you so much. You will not understand. But if you go there, you'll understand. You'll have full experience. And of course, we have the process by which we can become fully Krishna conscious. And especially if we develop an actual desire to serve Krishna in some particular capacity in the spiritual world, particular relationship, that is possible. We can actually have that. And that's what we're reading about to start in this chapter of Nectar Devotion. It's Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Of course, it's an advanced stage, but it's still Sadhana Bhakti. It's the later part of Sadhana Bhakti. And a devotee who's at that stage can actually meditate on Krishna, thinking about Krishna always as being Krishna's parent, mother or father, or being a personal friend. So we read about Krishna and Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd boys, the gopis, and if you're actually practicing, if you're actually able to practice this Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti properly, and I'm not there, but I can just describe it as I can just describe what it says. So we're able to do that. Then we'll develop that kind of devotion. Then at the time of giving up the material body, we go to the spiritual world and actually serve Krishna in that kind of capacity. If on the other hand we are engaged strictly all in reverence just, which is not, it's not a bad thing at all. But the mood may not be it's a different mood. As I was described in Narada Muni, in his previous lifetime, before his mood was strictly sadhana bhakti. He performed sadhana bhakti under the direction of the devotees who stayed in his home with his mother and him serving in his previous lifetime. So he was there, and his whole mood and his whole mode of worship in that lifetime was all in reverence. He was nothing. He was not trying to worship Krishna in any kind of an intimate way. But when he took his eternal spiritual body, that's what he is. He was serving Krishna in a very, I guess, like a humble servant. And he's not, Narada Muni didn't become a coward boy or a gopi or like that. He's a preacher. He's a servant of Krishna. Travels everywhere. So that's not a bad position. It's just a different mood of relationship with Krishna. So the Srila Prabhupada gave us Krishna book, so that by hearing it and reading it regularly, which I haven't read it so much for a long time, but if we're doing like that, and we absorb ourselves in it, and we can actually have faith that this is what I'm reading is like real, and I can actually be part of this. And maybe we can develop some taste for, well, maybe I could serve Krishna as a coward boy or as a gopi or something. I mean, maybe they can aspire like that. And the nectar devotion mentions, maybe it's in this chapter we're in now. Different devotees in the past who did. It's like there's one devotee, he was in Hastinapur. I think he was a carpenter or somebody. He had some particular position, a job, but he was a devotee of the Lord. So he was thinking, he was desiring. I wish I had Krishna as my son. And so Narada Muni advised him, okay, you're aspiring to have Krishna as your son, so he said, install a deity of Krishna, but serve Krishna in that mood. When you have Krishna as your son, it's not just, here we have this offering this time, another offering this time, another offering this time. If you're actually seeing Krishna as your son, young children don't necessarily follow okay, we're going to have an offering, a gold offering at this time. Have a gold offering at this time, and then we have another one at this time. But the young child will say, okay, I had my breakfast, but after 10 o'clock in the morning, it's not the regular offering time here, but the child is thinking, Mommy, Daddy, I want to eat. And so you're actually in that mood, which is, you're actually on that spontaneous level, and so is practice. And you're thinking, how can I please Krishna in this way? It's just a different mood. Anyway, it's beyond me, but I'm not there. But this is what's described, and we'll be reading about that nectar devotion in this chapter we're presently in. But Lord Chaitanya specifically gave us this opportunity. Specifically considered, I want to give people in this Kali Yuga this opportunity to hear about my glories and to serve me, not just in root of awe and reverence, but I want them to serve me in a mood of an intimate mood. Lord Chaitanya says that himself. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is actually why is Lord Chaitanya? It's Krishna, and before he comes as Lord Chaitanya, he's considering this, and so this is So Lord Chaitanya gives us this opportunity from by his mode of worship that he gives to us. So we have this, and he desires it. So we have to take advantage of it. Yes. I can't hear you. Yes. It's a little hard to hear you. But yes, Srila Prabhupada, he emphasized the mood of awe and reverence and so on. That's what you're saying. Yes, as a fact. As a fact. Srila Prabhupada didn't start off as, I mean, sometimes we've been criticized, Srila Prabhupada was criticized by certain people, that sometimes people criticize Srila Prabhupada, saying, well, why aren't you giving all this intimate knowledge about Krishna and the gopis and everything like this? Why are you holding that back? Srila Prabhupada didn't hold it back. He emphasized for us, because we're not on that level, I said it, that's an elevated level. So he emphasized for us that we concentrate on chanting our mantra and following the principles and so on, and that continues even on this other level we're talking about. You still chant your round, you still follow the principles. Okay.
I think it's important to emphasize the word service, but internally, if we start to do self-realization, it's important to develop more unity, but we don't really want.
Yeah, yes. So externally, and Shabbat also says this. Externally, we still, even if we become very advanced, like Shabbat, but we become very advanced. If we we still chant our rounds, we still follow regular principles. Externally, we're basically doing everything as we do now. But internally, if we come to that stage, we can start to develop internally these other desires. But not that. Yeah. Yes, but even the spontaneous thing that's being described here, that is also service. So it's a more intimate level of service. So always service. And anyway, we trying to explain things as they are, but I know it can be taken out of context. That's why people try to explain it. Anyway, we're way over time today, so we're entering now. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.